Parshas Toldos. This is a shmuz adapted from the shmuzin of Moran Agoyin Reb Chaim Shmulevich Zechet Tzaddik Livrocha. It says in the Torah that before Yitzchak Avinu gave the brachas, he wanted to make sure he wanted to make sure to give it to the right person. And it says in the Torah, Vayorach esreach begodov. He smelled the fragrance. He smelled the smell of the person in front of him's clothes, which is really Yaakov's clothes that he was wearing. Vayivorchehu, and he blessed him. And Yitzchak blessed Yaakov. And the Chazal ask that Yaakov was wearing goat's hairs on his hand so that Yitzchak Avinu should think that he's Esav. And Esav, Yitzchak wanted to give the brachas to Esav, so he smelled the reach begodov, the smell of his clothes. And the Chazal ask, and Rashi brings the question, there is no smell more offensive than that of washed goat skins. So because of this question, Chazal incredibly interpret that Yitzchak smelled es reach begodov. Yitzchak smelled the reach of boigdov, of the rebels of Klal Yisrael, the traitors of Klal Yisrael. Yitzchak Avinu foresaw with his Ruach HaKodesh that there will be descendants of his, of the person he's giving the brachas to, that will be traitors to Klal Yisrael, and the spark within them was able to bring them to tshuva. And one of these is a famous story of Yaisi Mishita. Yaisi from the city of Shita, who was a traitor to Klal Yisrael, who joined the Roman forces as they were about to destroy the Beis HaMikdash. The Romans were afraid to enter the Beis HaMikdash first, in order to loot it before they destroyed it. So the Romans decided they're going to ask a Jew, namely Yosef Meshita, to go in first. So the Chazal tell us that they said to Yosef Meshita, enter, go into the Beis HaMikdash, and whatever you want to take out is yours. So he took out menorah shel zov. He took out the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash. That's what he wants, and that's what they promised him he could keep. But they said to him, no. Ein darkei shel hedyot le'ishtamesh bezu. It's not usual for a simple person to have to use such a precious item. That's for a king. That's not for a hedyot. So they refused to let him keep this menorah. And they said to him, enter again. Whatever you want to take out, you can keep. Yaisi Mishita refused to enter a second time. He said, it's not enough that I angered my Creator one time, but I should anger him a second time. I refuse to enter. They tortured him until he died. And when they tortured him and he was undergoing all this sorrows as they were torturing him and killing him, he said, Oy vei li, oy, shehichasti lebayri, I angered my Creator. He died with tshuva and charota. He was sorry he did it. Vidui, he died like a big tzaddik. And the question is, gewaltige Schwiegen. The question is that how is it possible that this traitor, this rebel against Klal Yisrael, who sunk so low, he was on the bottom of the totem pole. The Goyim, the Romans were afraid to enter the Beis HaMikdash, to loot it. Even they had a feeling for the Beis HaMikdash. And he had no feeling. He entered, the first time he entered. He was very low. He had no feelings, nothing in him. Yeah, I'll enter. And then, when they said he can't keep the menorah Shalzov, the golden menorah, they asked him to go in a second time. Now he said, I'm not going in. I'm not going in. Not only am I not going in, but even when he was suffering and they tortured him, he didn't say, Oy vei li, it's terrible that I'm going through such pain. He said, Oy li shehichasti es boiri. Terrible, I feel so terrible that I angered my Creator, and he did tshuva. How is it possible? At the beginning of this story, he had no feelings. He had no feelings, and he would enter immediately. He would enter immediately the Beis HaMikdash. The Romans had stronger feelings than he did. They were afraid to enter. They wanted him to enter. And when they asked him a second time to enter, now something happened in between. And he turned to be a tzaddik. I'm not entering. And even when they tortured him, he said, Oy vei li, she'echasti es boiri. And he did tshuva. What happened here all of a sudden? This man who was low down on the totem pole, that he was less feelings for Yiddishkeit, less fear for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, than even the Romans who were afraid to go in to the Beis HaMikdash to loot it before they destroyed it. Apparently, he was so low. He felt so low. He felt even the Romans had more feelings than he. And he apparently, perhaps, he said to himself, Gewalt, look how nothing I am. Look how low I am. And that brought him, that catapulted him to be the tzaddik and the kodesh that he was. He realized how low he is, and how even the Romans have more sensitivity than he does. And what we see from here, perhaps He became used to his situation. That's why he had no feelings. Originally he wasn't afraid to go in. He became numb. He became numb. Whatever he's been doing, he's eingewöhnt, we call it in Yiddish. He's used to what he's doing, and everything is fine. Nothing bothers me. But when all of a sudden the spark within him sparked, the Yiddish spark within him, when he saw how low he was and how even the Romans had more sensitivities to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than he does, and that shook him up so much that he became the holy person that he was. Every Jew, no matter how far he is from Yiddishkeit, has a certain spark. And when something shakes him up, like here, he realized how nothing he was, how little he was, how the Romans had more sensitivities than he does. When he realized that, he said, no, I will not anger HaKadosh Baruch Hu anymore. I'm sorry I did it once, and I will never do it again. The lesson that we have to learn from here, Rabbi Sai, is that every Jew has a certain spark. And there comes a time, if something shakes him up, he has that potential to become a kadosh, to become a holy person like Yosef Mishita did. No Jew should ever feel, I'm so low and I'm so nothing, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't care for me anymore, and I don't care for HaKadosh Baruch Hu anymore. No. He has that potential, that he has that spark within him. And every person should realize that no matter what level he sinks to, he's a Yid, and he has a potential and he has a spark that can save him and bring holiness to him. We should be zeicha to realize this, and that chus will be zeicha to Haramas Keren HaTorah, Ubiyas Gel Tzedek, B'mheira B'yameinu. Amen.